You get to sit at the big kids table.
Okay, we have 7:30, let's call the meeting to order. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please. Mr. Dattley. Here. Ms. Thomas.
Here.
Mr. Hardy. Ms. McGuire.
Here.
Mr. Thorne.
Here.
Ms. Bowe.
Here.
We got 5 out of the 6 trustees here. We've got a quorum. We have got a meeting. The next item on the agenda is the minutes from October 21st, 2024. Do we have a motion so approved?
Bo moves.
Second.
Moved by Bo, seconded by the board to approve the minutes of October 21st, 2024. Any additions, deletions, corrections? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. Okay, the president's report. First item on there is the civility pledge, and Ms. McGuire, it's your turn this week.
In the interest of civility, I pledge to promote civility by listening, being respectful of others, acknowledging that we are all striving to support and improve our community, and understanding that we each may have different ideas for achieving our objectives.
Okay, thank you. Revised Illinois Emergency Management Mutual Aid System Agreement is on the agenda this evening. Chief, you want to start this discussion? You want to tell the board what it's about?
This is when it first came out, I assumed it was an agreement from Kane County, which is the normal mutual aid agreement, and that's not the case. It seems to be a newer initiative where they're trying to get statewide cooperation on emergency management or emergency resources for villages. I talked to Attorney Schuster about it. I don't see a downside either signing it or not signing it in terms of the village's concern. If we were to have I think what this is geared towards is large scale event. If we were to get hit with a tornado in town, as an example, and we needed access to large numbers of resources, then it would be definitely beneficial. I did reach out to the OEM director from Kane County just to kind of get a little bit of clarification, asked if there's what towns have actually signed the agreement already. Was there any reservations? And he indicated that some larger towns have already signed up: Kane County, St. Charles, Huntley, Big Rock have already signed up with it. So I'm not invested, I guess, either way. If the village wanted to go ahead with it, I would have no problem with it. If the village did want to sign it, I would have no problem with it either way. I don't see a downside to signing it, though, and it doesn't commit us to anything that we can't. If we don't have the resources to help out somebody else, we don't have to provide them. So it's not committing us to anything.
Okay.
I don't know if that summarizes.
Well, I would just add that the village does have a mutual aid agreement that Kane County put together in 2007.
Right.
So on a local level, Kane County tried to marshal all of the municipalities in the county to agree to help each other out. This is a private association of professional emergency managers that call themselves, looking in a broader sense statewide to have all the governmental entities in Illinois commit to help each other pursuant to this agreement. So there's no fee involved. There's no obligation to assist. It says you assist as the circumstances would allow, and you also get the commitment of the other members, the other entities that sign this document, and there's 4 or 5 in King County plus the county that have signed on to commit to help you if you need help. So again, that means there's no real downside to it. But it is not affiliated or part of the statewide emergency management agency that's a part of the state of Illinois government and King County. That system emphasizes county local management. So each county is charged under that act with managing the countywide assistance for emergency services. That statute allows you to make intergovernmental agreements for mutual aid, like the one that the village committed to in 2007.
I was wondering about that, if it was similar to the county, the county agreement, because the one part that was, I thought was a little bit, not strange, but I didn't quite fully grasp was the payment by third parties. And that the entity that was requesting assistance would not be responsible for the payment of the assistance. But then they were talking about third parties, and I had assumed that it was a statewide since it wasn't the county one, but you're saying it has nothing to do with any government entities. It is independent individuals within first response and other emergency circumstances that are putting this together?
Well, the agency that's proposing this agreement is not a governmental agency. They say they're going to create a new agency, which they will treat as a public agency, subject to open meetings and freedom of information. I can't recall. I could look up. I don't know if the Kane County agreement, I don't think it did get into reimbursement if there was insurance money or federal funding that was provided for emergency remediation, that any participating municipality could participate in and share in that recovery.
Yeah. I was curious how.
Do you recall if that's in there or not?
I can look it
No,
up.
I don't believe it is, and I think this one goes that extra step, and what it's saying is that there is a reimbursement from some third party. That we would not try and claim that reimbursement. It wouldn't be something that we would be entitled to anyway, at least that's
But it does say you can share in it.
correct, if it applies.
Pro
to us.
rata,
Right.
if there is that type of
Yep.
recovery.
Which is, I don't recall it being in the county agreement.
I think, and the cover letter from the association that's proposing this, one of the things it says is that it's trying to update to a more current circumstances, because I think they've seen that there is sometimes a possibility of recovery or funding that will come after the fact, and then participating agencies who have, put out manpower or equipment or whatever, should be allowed to at least participate in that. For what it's worth, you never know where that's gonna go.
What's the desire of the board? You wanna
I
put
was,
this on the floor and entertain it?
I'd like to wait. I was operating under the assumption that this was a government one, and just the idea that I don't know where it's coming from. And then because it said that they improved on some things they had from years before, so
Apparently, there is an earlier iteration of this agreement. The village is not part of that.
yeah, I'd like to see if they've done anything in the past and who.
They have a website.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where
I just started looking it up and I learned it wasn't government earlier. But yeah,
Have we participated in this before or?
No.
this-
No, we have no
We have
record.
not.
the
Okay.
village has committed to King County mutual aid. But not this.
Not
private
to
association.
statewide, no.
Okay.
If it can't hurt us, I say we move forward with it.
Motion to bring it to the floor then.
So moved.
Move to bring resolution number 561, a resolution authorizing the participation of a member in the Illinois Emergency Management Mutual Aid System.
Second.
Moved by McGuire, seconded by Diatley. Comments, questions, or discussion on this now?
Yes, I have one before we go any further. Which draft are we
Well,
using?
that's what we would want. First off, the one question that brings up is Mr. Schuster has reviewed the resolution that was sent with the packets. That is a sample resolution. He has revised it and rewritten it, which is a copy in front of you now. He's made a couple of changes. He can address the changes he made in this
I
resolution.
could, Mr. President, I first of all put it more in the form of the types of resolutions that the village utilizes. Secondly, you'll see in the sample resolution that the emphasis is on providing aid to other communities. But it seems to me that the primary incentive for being involved in this system is to be able to obtain aid for your own disaster if necessary, and the price you pay is to commit to help others when you can. And so I've added language to that effect, which would, I think, better express the board's motivations to get involved in something like this.
Yeah, so it's.
But at the end of the day, it's to approve this agreement.
And one thing I will add is I did ask for clarification from the director from OEM, whether or not they'll accept amended agreements.
Mhm.
And he was very clear, he said, no, they won't, they basically, it's accept the agreement that they've written. And I can see their point, they probably don't want 150 different agreements coming back from, with adjustments on it, but that was what he did say, it's like the standard agreements that you had for Mavis, which is the fire agreement, or Ilias, which is our current agreement. It's kind of a take it or leave it, you can sign it as is, or not, they won't accept any amendments to it. That's what I was told.
We belong with Mavis, or our fire department feels?
Fire departments go through Mavis, and we belong to Ilias as a call.
Pretty similar then to the IMUS, what I've been calling this in my head at least, EMIS.
Yes, it's just different, it's just different resources and different ways of calling out those resources.
So this isn't something that just kind of came up recently out of the blue, there are others.
Other mutual aid.
Yeah,
agreements.
other things beyond government that help facilitate this.
Yeah, as an example, so we are part of Ilias. So if I had an emergency and let's say I had a barricaded subject in town, and obviously we don't have enough cars to create a 4-block perimeter area, I could do an Ilias call out, and what they would do is send 15 patrol cars from immediate towns to me that I could utilize then to set up that perimeter. So that's we're part of Ilias already anyway. They would also respond if we were to have some type of emergency, whether it's a natural disaster, large scale fire, large scale community event, something like that. I think this agreement just provides a larger umbrella than
Okay.
what that one does. But yeah, we were already part of those other agreements already.
That's something better.
Any other questions or comments?
I would say if there's no cost to this and there's no, I don't see a harm that it could do. It seems like it could be,
Helpful.
something there. Yeah.
So I don't think we ever got an answer to.
No,
this
then you
question.
weren't gonna get a vote until I got it.
Which form of the resolution are you
Two
moving for
resolutions
approval
you
in
want
second?
to approve. You want the copy that is on the packet, or the copy that was provided this evening from Mr. Schuster?
Who was the
Well,
vote?
they won't.
Well,
I
Was
moved,
you- So which did you move?
Which,
the one that is on my desk is.
That's all.
That's-
Mr. Schuster, you want to
Yeah.
accept the revised?
But we can't have a revised one?
Oh, yes.
Revised resolution.
Oh,
It's the
okay.
Can't
amendment.
revise the agreement, but
Okay.
I don't think they
Yeah, I
are
think
gonna fuss
this,
over how you approved it.
I think the revised one's good.
Revised one, okay. No other comments, questions, or discussion? The resolution?
Can I have
We
just-
can do that.
Can we just have like 1 minute? Sorry. I'm just looking at the differences between the things. Okay, yeah, okay. sorry. Thanks.
Okay, this is a voice vote. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? 5 affirmative votes, no negative votes, the motion so carries. Thank you all. Okay, the next item under the President's report. Village administrator. I brought the subject up about a month ago. Things have been quiet, nobody's had any questions or concerns about it. I will reach back out to the County and City Management Association and see about having a representative come out and give us a spiel as to how this is set up and what kind of duties and responsibilities we can assign to a village administrator. So, All right, I will continue with that. The next item is just a point of information. Myself, Mr. Schuster, and Ms. Detmer met with a developer who is interested in 1601 West Main. He was curious about the process and procedures necessary to obtain a special use permit and a variance. He was given all the instructions on how a special use permit is applied for, how a variance is applied for, and the various costs that may accompany such an application. That's it. When the developer decides they want to pull the trigger, they will submit an application to the building department and we will go forward. So until that time, there's nothing else to report on 1601 West Main. And we will move on to the clerk's report.
I have no report on time, Mr. President.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion that we move the item concerning the village auditor's report from item 12B to the next step that we made.
Okay, you have a second?
A second.
Moved by Thorne, seconded by McGuire to amend the agenda as presented and move item 12B to the present time. That is the auditor's report, so they don't have to stay online and watch us for the next hour and a half or so. So any comments, questions, or discussion on that motion? If not, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion so carries. Thank you all. Who wants to introduce the auditor? Mr. Van, you've had a conversation with him.
Well, we have been working with LNA for the last couple of years, and we had the same team. And we have Courtney and we have Joe. Joe's been the on-site person the majority of the time, and Courtney's been doing a lot of the coordinating. And I'll hand it off to Courtney.
Great. Eugene, thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for having us. As mentioned, my name is Courtney Moore. I am one of the audit principals at Lauterbach and Amen. Joining me today is Joe Capone. He is one of our audit leads, and he works directly with Eugene in the village on site and helping coordinate all of our testing and oversight of the audit as well. And we're here to present the April 30th, 2024 audited financial statements. Before we get started, I wanted to say a huge thank you to Eugene for all his hard work in getting everything pulled together for the audit. It does take a lot of extra time outside of the scope of his regular job duties to not only prepare for us to come on site and get everything prepared for us as far as request materials go, but to also help bring it to the bound copy that you see in front of you today. So Eugene, thank you so much for your help. The purpose of an audit is for us to perform various tests and procedures on your financial statements to ultimately form an opinion. We did give the village an unmodified opinion. It is also known as a clean opinion. It is the highest opinion that we can give. It states that the financial statements are presented fairly in all material respects, and we can rely on the internal control environment of the village. Additionally, in our SAS 114 letter, which is our communication to all of you, those charged with governance, we note that we did not have any difficulties or disagreements with management throughout the process. The total audit report is about 73 pages, but there are a few key pieces that I did want to point out this evening. Page 8 of your report begins the management's discussion and analysis. This piece is essentially an executive summary that gives you a good overview of the financial statements in non-financial terms, including charts and graphs. So if there is a good place that you kind of want to start your review and looking into the financial statements, I would highly suggest taking a look at your management's discussion and analysis. Your financial statements begin on page 22 with your government-wide statement of position and statement of activities. But I would like to specifically draw your attention to your fund level financials, and those begin on page 26. When you flip to page 26, you'll see specifically your general fund, your motor fuel tax fund, and your capital improvements fund. These detail out your funds in a way that's similar to how you budget, so it's kind of a good operating view of each of the funds of the village. Your general funds fund balance at year end was about $1.9 million. This was an increase of about $880,000 from last year. Of that amount, about $40,000 is considered non-spendable, and the remaining $1.8 million is considered unassigned. Additionally, your MFT fund ended with about a $208,000 restricted fund balance. And your capital improvements fund ended with about $997,000 assigned fund balance. So both of those are restricted essentially for specific purposes. The MFT fund and the capital improvements fund did show a decrease from last year to this year, but ultimately your fund balance is healthy in all of your funds. If you flip to page 31, you'll see something similar related to your water and sewer fund. This is set up different just because of the way that your water and sewer fund operates versus the way your general MFT and capital improvement funds operate. But ultimately, your ending net position of your water and sewer fund was about $4.3 million. Of that 4.3, about 3 million of it is considered your net investment in capital assets. So these are the assets that you own less any related accumulated depreciation. And the remaining 1.3 is considered unrestricted to meet the future needs of the village as you see fit. One of the other required documents that comes out of our audit is something called the management letter. This lays out our suggestions to management of any policies, procedures, or anything else that may have come up throughout the audit process. This is a separate bound report that you would have in front of you, so it's not within the audit report. A majority of the comments are related to GASB pronouncements. So essentially, GASB is the governing body that makes the rules of the way your financial statements are supposed to be presented. And oftentimes they come out with new pronouncements and things that we need to adjust in the financial statements or the way we need to present things a little bit differently. So over the last 2 years, they have released about 4 new comments and new pronouncements that we need to implement. So 2 of them were implemented this year. So GASB number 94 and GASB number 96 were required to be implemented. And then GASB's number 100 and 101 will be implemented in the future. So we have those in your management letter just kind of as an FYI, so you know that they're coming up. But the only other comment from this year that I wanted to mention was that you did have $27,000 of expenses in excess in your MFT fund compared to your budget. So that was something we did have to add to the letter. So with all of that being said, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have on the audit, the management letter.
Any questions for Courtney? Or Joe? He's been quiet. Courtney, it sounds like you've got it all covered.
Oh, thank you.
Questions from anyone? I've got one from a gentleman I will call on the floor.
I
Mr.
have
Ziemba?
one question on page 1, the most basic thing. It talks about, since this is as of April 30th, 2024, it only lists 5 trustees when there should be 6.
Well, 6 seat was vacant.
Okay, and then our 2 of those guys, were they here as of April?
Yes.
Nemec was still here. I thought they left last year. I apologize.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Don. Okay, that was an easy one, Courtney, didn't it?
Thank you for taking that one for me.
I'm sure you don't know who was sitting in these chairs a year ago.
Anything else?
Anything else for the firm? No, not at all.
Great.
I think we can say adieu. Thank you all.
Great. Thank you so much. Have a great evening, everyone.
Thank you, Courtney.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Joe, thank you. Appreciate your work.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So that brings us to a request for a motion to accept the village audit for the year 2024 fiscal year.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Thorne, seconded by Bo to accept the village auditor's report for the fiscal year 2024. Any other comments, questions, or discussion? No. Eugene did it again. Got them quiet here. They just all in agreement here. All right. Then we will go to a roll call. Mr. Dowling.
Aye.
Ms. Bo.
Aye.
Ms. Thomas.
Aye.
Mr. Thorne.
Aye.
Ms. McGuire.
Aye.
5 affirmative votes, no negative votes, and motion so carries. Thank you all. Okay, and we will resume back to the regular agenda. The next item is planning and zoning. Ms.
May I make a
Deputy-
request Sorry, I wanted to go back to your report. We moved forward with the presentation. I wanted to ask a question.
Okay,
Under, I don't know if it was your report or I think it was your report, you mentioned, or the planning and zoning report, that you mentioned that you had met with a developer at
that
1601.
was me.
Okay,
My report.
that was yours, okay. At 1601 West Main Street. Now, because Risebeck has, their special use permit had expired at the end of last month, does that mean that the current developer who's looking to it could also potentially seek out a storage unit?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. All right, no, P and Z, I was just about to inform you, Mrs. Detmer is taking the evening off. So there is no P and Z unless Kelly had something to report. No? All right, then we move to the attorney's report. Mr. Schuster.
Mr. President, one of the, Mr. Nemec came up, one of the things that Joe and I worked on right before the end of his term was to go through water and sewer regulations, and it resulted in ordinance 2023-3. The village's codifier has raised some questions, and sees some confusion in that enactment in just two regards. And therefore, what you have in front of you tonight is an ordinance that would correct and clarify that ordinance 2023-3. And one of them was section 6 of the original ordinance. Some words were missing there. And it can be read to say that an entire section of the new ordinance, the new code, should be deleted, when in fact it was amended. That left in place a surcharge in the water billing system and allowed for amendment of that surcharge in the future by a simple motion and vote of the Board of Trustees. It'd be sort of a budget, a review item year to year, rather than requiring an ordinance to officially amend that part of the code. And the second one, there was an error in the numbering. What should have been labeled 8-3-19 for a section was labeled 8-3-18. So just to set that record straight and then allow the codifier to get this on the official village code and get it into the website, this ordinance is before you tonight.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve ordinance 2024-4?
No, this would be 12. 2024
Oh, wow, we moved that fast this year.
You just talk a lot. Strike that last comment.
Well, it's coming from someone that has a non-speaking role. 2024-12?
Correct.
All right, we have a motion to approve ordinance 2024-12.
I'll move.
Second.
Moved by McGuire, seconded by Deanne to approve ordinance 2024-12.
I'd like to table the discussion until the next meeting. I'd like to review the entire ordinance before we go forward with it, because we don't even have B1 to review to talk about the surcharges. And this is the ordinance that I've been trying to find since I took office, and I haven't seen it in its entirety yet.
It's on the website. I looked at it over the weekend.
It's not on where I was looking for it. The 2023-3, it wasn't
believe so.
codified, so how's it? It can't-
Do they put on the website the ordinances that have been passed but not yet codified?
There was whatever the old ordinance was that had the old, is that what you're asking, the old one or the current?
The
one?
2023-3 one that wasn't codified or posted.
There's one on there. I don't know if it's the old. Yeah.
We can get you a copy of it.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That's all.
You moved to table.
I moved to table to the subsequent November
November 18th.
18th, please.
I second.
Moved by Bo and seconded by Thomas to table until November 18th, 2024. Ordinance 2024-12. Okay, any other comments, questions, or discussion?
I have a question, did you mention some of your concern is about the surcharge?
It's about the surcharge, but, and then I've never read the ordinance, and this is the
Okay.
one that the residents were asking
I'm
for.
not, I would just, suggest one or two things. I'm not sure how much of the discussion is in the minutes without looking back.
Okay.
But Mr. Van, could tell you about that surcharge and why it was, at the time, there was a decision to continue it.
Okay.
Because that did come up as part of this.
Yeah, the
one
surcharge
fee
and then
that-
the date for the wastewater meter fees, or the due date for that one
Yeah.
was also in the same ordinance, so that's
I think so.
why I was
The
kind of
discussion
aware of
will
it
be
and
on
looking for it.
YouTube as well.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
the discussion will be on YouTube.
Yeah,
Well,
for that day.
right, I forgot, yeah. But it did come up at the time as
It'll be
the
completely
need
clear.
for that.
All right.
Voice vote?
Yeah.
So we got 5. Voice vote or roll call?
It's a voice vote on the
Voice
motion to
vote,
table.
Motion to table, yeah, that's right, okay. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion so carries. I was waiting for you for a roll call.
That's all I have for this evening.
All right, thank you, Mr. Schuster. Engineers report, Mr. Steele, I see you're on the big screen, this is my evening.
Yep, good evening. In your board packet is, you'll see pay estimate number 1 for the 2024 street program. You'll see it's in the amount of $323,511.97. This is just kind of a preliminary before the final, is just getting some quantities in there. We still have to measure up some of the topsoil and seeding in order to make that final, and it also holds back some retention. So basically is need that for approval in order to get pay estimate number 1 paid.
Okay, the engineer is saying that we need a proof to make a pay estimate of $323,811.57. $511.97.
So moved, Diatley.
Second.
A move by Diatley, seconded by Thomas to approve the request from the engineer to pay the amount of $323,511.97 towards the account with Manavel Construction for the Crane Road street project this year. I note that we're still retaining approximately 5%, 17-some thousand dollars for work that yet to be completed. We have a motion yet on that, do we?
Yes, we did.
We did?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
Thomas and
yeah,
Diatley.
okay. Okay, what else we got on there?
Roll call vote.
No other comments, questions, or discussion? Roll call then.
Ms. Bo,
Aye.
Mr. Dadley,
Aye.
Ms. Thomas,
Aye.
Mr. Grier,
Aye.
Mr. Thorne.
Aye.
5 affirmative votes, no negative votes, motion so carries. Thank you all. Anything else, Jeff?
Next up would be just an update in regards to the City Hollow Road swale. The concrete work is done out there. Hopefully we'll be able to get some, I highly doubt this year, any kind of grass growth, but maybe get lucky if we get some good weather. So otherwise we'll keep up on that and do any kind of punch list items on that. Otherwise is probably possible for payment next pay or next board meeting.
We might get you tested out tonight, tomorrow.
Maybe. It's already held up so far in the rain, so that's good.
Once, yeah, we've had a little, but not much, so we'll see how it holds up for us. Okay. Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Okay, next item on the agenda is the Director of Finance, Mr. Van.
Request a motion for the approval of the accounts payables in the amount of $106,210.31.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Thorne, seconded by Bo to approve the accounts payable of November 4th, 2024 in the amount of $106,210.31. Any additions, deletions, comments, or questions? There being none, roll call.
Mr. Dattley,
Aye.
Ms. Thomas,
I,
Ms. McGuire,
Aye.
Mr. Thorne,
Aye.
Ms. Both.
Aye.
5 affirmative votes, no negative votes, motion so carries. Thank you all.
That's all I have at this time.
All right, thank you, Eugene. Comments from the public?
Nothing.
Nothing? All right. None, okay. Anything else? That makes us into the trustee reports, roads and parks. Mr. Harney is not with us this evening. He called me this morning and said he had no report. We move on from roads and parks to finance. Anything else other than the audit report, Mr. Thorne?
I don't have anything unless, Mr. Van has something else.
We just have the tax levy that will lower down.
Okay, put that under old business, yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. All right, we'll pick that up then. Thank you, Mark.
That's all I got.
Water and sewer, Ms. Bell.
Nothing more to report.
Thank you, Courtney. Police and public service, police and public safety, Mr. Diatley.
Just one quick thing, just a caution, since it's getting darker early, please be careful when you're out driving and walking, especially people walking their dogs. Hopefully they carry a flashlight or wear some reflective clothing, because it is very hard to see sometimes, and we don't want any accidents happening, so we need caution on both parts, the drivers and the walkers, so just be mindful of it, just something to keep out for.
Can I add to that?
Yes.
Walkers should walk on the opposite side of the car,
Yes.
facing the vehicles,
traffic.
not with their backs to the cars.
You are
When
correct.
I get hit, I want to see those people.
That's correct. That's right.
I don't have anything else. Chief, you have anything?
Just our new squad car that we put in, it's finally built. We're just working through the technology part to get it up and running. I'm hoping to have it up and running and actually deployed in patrol within the next week or so. That will allow us then to give our old patrol car to code enforcement, and then the old code enforcement will go to Kyle for code enforcement. So all those moving parts should be completed very soon. One of our 2 officers in field training is now done. He's been deployed, he's been released to solo patrol. The other one is moving along pretty well. He'll be done fairly shortly as well. So.
Thank you. Nothing further.
All right, thank you, Steve. Thank you, Chief. Public buildings and environment. Inquiry.
No report tonight.
Thank you, Jennifer. Building and zoning, Ms. Thomas.
couple things. I was just told that we have a meeting with the aquatics committee that's been formed with the park district. That's in November 20th. They have drawings for us to look at that committee. So we will go look and we'll be able at that time to take things out if we feel they put too much in for Sleepy Hollow Pool or Randall Oaks, add things. So that meeting is November 20th. So that's the first thing. And then Steve, I wanted to ask you, what is the process about, and I don't know if we can, I know you mentioned the new developer met with you guys about pulling storage units out of the special use. Is that not allowed, or what is the process?
We could, take the special use out of the ordinances. It would require Mr. Schuster rewriting the ordinances. Since we dated it, it's expired. I'm not sure there's any real reason to remove it from the ordinance. I mean,
You mean that category of special?
that special use.
I mean, that would be a text amendment, would require a public hearing through the Planning and Zoning Commission and bring it back to the board.
But the thing you gotta remember is that the text amendment's gonna cost us, but that was a specific setup. Anybody wanting to build to those specifications.
Well, that was the special use that was granted for 1601. That's why I asked. That's a different thing. And that's expired or is expiring. And so any new development will have to start over on that process.
Right.
That's just system. It's just in the, it was there for this one shot.
Is it, doesn't
I'm sorry, weren't you asking, isn't it that special uses under the permitted uses under special
Correct,
use,
that
one
right.
is storage
You
unit?
can
You can
apply.
amend that
Okay.
listing.
Oh, so no matter who comes in as a developer, if they just say, I want to try for a special use, they could either pick from that allotment, or they could say, this is my idea, can it fit within your confines? Restrictions, okay. So even though, is that? That's what, one's nodding yes and one's.
Well, what you're saying is, I think is a little confused. We have got permitted uses and non-permitted uses. And then you can apply for special use, which isn't in either one of those categories.
But it is listed somewhere.
I was gonna say it's enumerated under
It's
special
correct.
use permit as storage unit.
There are types of special use that are allowed.
I think-
Is it permitted uses?
I think what Kelly's asking is
Can
if
remember
they can
that.
come in and not have to go through the whole process, because it's already in there.
They could, if they wanted to go according to that special use, they would have
It's
to,
expired.
but it's expired.
So no, the answer is yes, they have to start over,
Okay.
if that is the way to say it. They have to bring a proposal.
I think Kelly's wanted it off the books.
Yeah.
That's different.
Oh, because we're just saying.
Thank you.
That's what I think she's saying.
And that's a text amendment. You
Yeah.
can look at the text of your zoning regulations at any time and propose an amendment. But that's a public hearing process.
Public hearing.
It's not just the board.
Okay.
You've got to run it through the process, through the planning and zoning commission, get their recommendation, have it come back to you.
So,
But-
so the planning and zoning would have to request a.
We would
public
have to,
hearing.
we would have to direct public and hearing, a public and planning and zoning to have a meeting to consider a text amendment to remove it from the ordinance. Then P and Z would convene. They would see what our request was, then they would have to set forth a public hearing
Okay,
on there.
okay.
And then they would have to get the transcription and the court reporters and the publications. Have the meeting, so, yeah, then it comes back to.
Make a recommendation.
And then make a
bring it back.
recommendation and bring it back. So it's a time involved situation which starts mounting up in money. And if it's just sitting on there on the books and it's expired. You know, unless you're wanting to go in and redo the permitted and non-permitted uses.
I think you said it right the first.
I did, but I think what you.
And and if someone wants to do that type of use again on 1601, they can file a petition for their special use at that location. Because the one that you previously approved by its terms expired.
Legality's purpose, what happens if it gets turned down? What is legally on us?
On what?
So
Well, you
say.
don't
the
have-
We don't
planning and
have,
zoning or
we don't
something.
have an application. We don't have anything to turn down. We're not looking at anything.
At this
Wait,
point,
no.
nobody's applied, but if they
Nobody's
did
applied.
apply and
Yeah.
you said no,
I think
then that would be.
We're jumping ahead.
we're wondering hypothetically, if this anonymous developer comes in, and let's just say hypothetically, he wants to set up a storage unit. I think hypothetically, we don't want to have the sheds versus storage unit argument again, so. I mean, I know Kelly and I've had this conversation before, so I'm trying to figure out where we're going with this. If the word storage unit is no longer listed under
Right.
special use permits. That would be a text amendment, which would need a public hearing, but that would also say that anybody who came forward requesting a special use permit. They can't request a storage unit. They could do any of the other things that are listed. So I think that's what we were
That's
kind
what
of
you-
wondering.
that's what you-
Exactly.
You don't want the original ordinance rejected. You
Which that
want
was done.
the ability to apply for a self-storage unit removed from.
That's right.
I think that's what it is. Yes.
I think that's what.
I think that's what.
Yes.
Oh,
But wouldn't someone be able to come back at some later time and then put it back in there?
Yeah.
yeah.
So you would be going through the process.
The
of-
board could put it back in there,
Yeah.
not someone.
Not
Well, but it was,
The board could
someone
put
would
it.
say that they would like that, and then the board would reconsider it and put it right back in.
Potentially,
Potentially.
It's
can always do that. The zoning regulations can be amended every day. Well,
So yes, please.
not suggested yet,
Please, please.
legally speaking. You know,
Okay.
it's
And
your
I-
zoning regulation.
And
And
that's,
the village board has authority to amend them.
that's kind of what I'm asking is, what if,
The process though is we have to make a motion. It's gotta be a discussion of the board. We have to make a decision. We have to instruct the village attorney.
Well, used to authorize the filing of a petition for testimony.
And then it goes and then the B and Z starts their process. They have to publish the meeting date.
Mhm.
They have to get the what do you call it? Court reporter.
Do we know roughly the cost? Depends on how many.
It depends. I mean, the court reporters are getting to be a hard one. We used to be able to find them in the evening and now they're saying, we'll only come during the day. Well, we don't want to have public hearings during the day because then our residents can't make it to the day meetings. We had trouble this last time getting them, but those, they're running $500 or something.
Well, to attend is one cost and then type it all up. If you need to do that.
I
There's
think
another.
it was like there's over $1,000 for just a court reporter.
So when you start talking about changing the book, you start going, well, is it really worth it? So you look at stuff and you go, oh, I see, that's still left from 1890. Nobody wanted to pay to change it.
Stuff to think about.
Okay. All right. Anything else, Kelly?
no.
Okay, thanks,
Answered
Kelly.
most of my questions.
That
Sure,
moves
I'll-
us,
Sure, I'll have more.
okay, that moves us to old business. Old business ordinance 2024-13. The tax levy, Mr. Van.
So we announced it in early October, what the amount was of $956,000. And then we have to wait 20 days, and so now we can pass it. And so once we pass it, then I'll be able to send the tax levy to the county for collection next year.
Do by the last Tuesday.
Yeah, it's due by the last Tuesday in December, and there's no guarantee that this is the amount we're gonna get. So this is our request, and then the county changes it. Not a lot.
Yeah, depends
But
on
they
the
usually want us
valuation.
to have.
Well, it hurt us last time because we had a disconnection and we lost $3 million worth of property. And so then it lowered what we had requested.
We didn't have that disconnect this year. We didn't even have any new construction this year.
Oh, no, actually, we had a little bit of new construction this year. Yeah. I think it's the 505.
Oh, 505 Stevens Court. Okay, that's just now coming on?
Yeah,
Oh,
because this whole thing, it's like a couple of years from, in arrears kind of thing.
Okay. Okey doke. So. Anyone want to make a motion to approve ordinance number 2024-13?
So moved.
Second?
Moved by Thorne, seconded by Bo to approve ordinance 2024-13, conveniently also known as the tax levy. Any comments, questions, or discussion? There being none, roll call, please.
Mr. Devon,
Aye.
Ms. Thomas,
I,
Ms. Squire,
Aye.
Thorne,
Aye.
Ms. Bo.
Aye.
5 affirmative votes, no negative votes, the motion so carries. Thank you all. The next item is resolution number 562. An amendment to the wastewater service agreement with the Village of West Dundee. Just a touch up on that, as you all remember, we obtained capacity from West Dundee, who passes it forward, Fox River Water Reclamation District. The agreement with West Dundee is that any charges that are placed on them for improvements at Forward, they will send our proportion to us for us to pay. And it comes to something like $20,000 a year.
Yeah, a little over 20,000, but 20,630, I think.
Is what our share is, and Forward has done some extensive work the past couple of years, and they've notified West Dundee that their billing amounts are been adjusted. So West Dundee has modified the amounts that we need to pay to them to match the numbers coming from Forward. So that's what this agreement on the wastewater system this evening. So
Yeah, this was reported and discussed by this board probably 4 months ago. And the question was then raised whether we should get it in writing because the 2023 agreement with West Dundee was a major rewrite at that time, and West Dundee and Sleepy Hollow agreed, put it in writing. West Dundee has passed this and approved it officially as of their last meeting, which would have been last week. And so it's just to change out that exhibit so that going forward, everybody, both parties understand what the those forward costs are and how it changed the obligation of Sleepy Hollow to West Dundee. Just good to have a written record a couple of years from now. Everybody will know what was what. Yeah.
It's significantly lower than what we have to pay this year, but increases it for the next several years.
any other comments or questions on, do we have a motion on this yet?
No.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Thorne, seconded by Thomas to approve resolution number 562. Amendment to the wastewater agreement with West Dundee. Any further comments, questions, or discussion? There being none, roll call please.
Ms. Bo.
Aye.
Mr. Thorne.
Aye.
Ms. McGuire.
Aye.
Ms. Thomas.
Aye.
Mr. Natalie.
Aye.
5 affirmative votes, no negative votes. Motion so carries. Thanks for one and all. Okay, old business. Nothing else under old business. We move to new business. There's nothing under new business. I do have 2 comments before we get to item 15 on the adjournment. One, tomorrow is an important day. Vote. Tonight is also an important time. Sunset was the beginning of Samhain. Start celebrating. It's the fourth. It's a fourth minor fire celebration of the solar calendar. Oh, you get that figured out? We're halfway between the autumnal equinox and the winter solstice.
Why
It's
didn't you
called
say
solar.
that the first time?
It's called solar.
We need a vote on the adjournment.
Motion adjourned.
Moving in second, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed? Happy sowing, all.
I didn't catch the vote.
That starts at Thanksgiving.
All right, bring you.